Hi, and welcome to another very special episode of Scotty's Thoughties. On today's very special episode, we're going to be discussing something that had a very large impact on my adolescence. It was the 1990s. Rock and roll music was king. Sex was safe. And if you weren't wearing a No Fear t-shirt, well, you just weren't cool. And people were walking around assuming, hey, this guy, he's afraid of something. I don't know what he's afraid of, but it's something. And that is why these t-shirts were invented. Yes, throughout my entire high school years, from 1994 to 1999, these shirts were king. The reason? Like I said before, if you were afraid, you weren't very cool. So I'm going to go through 40 of the coolest No Fear t-shirts that I was able to scrounge up just from looking around on the internet. I don't have these shirts. I wish I did. If they're in good condition, people are selling them for a lot of money, because there are some people around there who they grew up in the 90s. They were in high school, maybe even elementary school. Dare I say, actual people in their 20s walking around in No Fear t-shirts that are now in their 40s and maybe 50s. And they're thinking, man, I have a good job and I want to buy one of those old shirts, a vintage shirt from the 1990s, and show it off to my now children. And so let's get started. Well, first of all, here you go. Here's the No Fear logo. The No Fear logo is also down here. I'm pointing to my left. The picture that I'm looking at is on my right. I should have rearranged that before. I'm not going to do it now. There's no time. Oh, yeah. So, let's take a look at number 40, shall we? Ooh. Well, this one says, it's not how you play the game. It's if you win or lose. No fear. And I'm not sure, because there's a line over the knot, or through the knot, and there's a line through the it's. So is it really saying it's how you play the game if you win or lose? It's not how you play the game. It's if you win or lose. No fear. Oh, no fear gear. I'm pointing to where it says gear. Let me just... I can't do it. Trust me, my finger is right on where it says gear there. And yeah, it's not just no fear. It's No Fear gear. And, well, folks, let's just take it at face value. Well, I think what might have happened there is a velociraptor, which were very popular at the time, may have gotten to the back of this shirt. It's usually the back of the shirt where you would see the ultra badass languaging. And did I mention before, I'm ranking them in terms of how badass they are. So this one, the least badass of the bunch, but it's still No Fear. So, if you weren't wearing something like this, you were afraid, and looks like a velociraptor got to it. One of the two-clawed animals from back then. Scratched, so that's blood. Over the knot and over the it's. So I think they are saying, it's not how you play the game. It's if you win or lose. Basically saying, if you cheat, doesn't matter. You won, baby. Coming in at number 39, we have A Man's Gotta Do What a Man's Gotta Do. Now, it looks like this is a girl wearing this shirt. And if not, then it makes me a little uncomfortable, because that's a nice figure that she's got. The neck. I don't know. I don't look at women. It's just my wife. I'm saying maybe some other guy might think that. A man's gotta do what a man's gotta do. No fear. Well, how badass is this shirt? It's pretty badass. Because, I don't want to get into detail, but men gotta do some pretty bad stuff. And if he's gotta do it, he's gotta do it. Now, that might sound redundant to some people, but if you think so, that's because you're afraid and you don't have No Fear. The 38th most badass No Fear t-shirt that I was able to scrounge up looking for these things on the internet. No Fear. If it was just about attitude, everyone would have it. Now, that is very badass because, it's brutally honest, if you ask me. And if you're watching this video, well, you kind of asked me, didn't you? You were asking for it. And yeah, everyone would have it. The thing that's so badass about this shirt, I have no idea what they're trying to say. If it were just about attitude, everyone would have it. Everyone has attitude, but everyone would have it. What's it in this situation? If it were just about attitude, everyone would have it. Maybe if there were some quotation marks around it, things would be a little bit more clear. We would know exactly what it is. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it's. So, based on the confusion factor, we're going to make this one 38. Coming in at number 37 on our No Fear badass t-shirt list. You want to impress me? Step on the field. See, this one's badass because look at that football. Well, first of all, that's the No Fear symbol. I don't have that with the logo. That's not the... It's the logo is like a couple eyes. Like, I didn't get that for this image down here. Maybe I should have. Maybe you should mind your own business and don't worry about it. Okay? So, that's the No Fear logo. The eyes like this. And they're on a football. The football's doing one of these. So that's pretty scary. And if you want to impress this guy, you got to step on the field, kid. Otherwise, you're just watching from the bleachers, and it's not as exciting. You're showing a lot more fear, and you're not being very impressive. Number 36. You can't win the game when you're sitting on the bench. It's basically the same as the last one, except for that we're not necessarily stipulating that you're trying to make an impression on somebody. So, there it is, number 36. Can't win the game if you're sitting on the bench. Well, that's not necessarily true. A coach could win the game. I don't know if there's ever been a coach that was in a wheelchair, or maybe he's, if he's in a wheelchair, I guess he's not sitting on the bench, but he could sit on the bench. The point is, you gotta have no fear. Coming in at number 35. There's a hot 40 for No Fear t-shirts from the 1990s. We have Play Hard, Play Rough, or Take Your Ball and Go Home. I think this one may have been from the 2000s. I think Lance Armstrong may have worn this one. Or maybe the guy that was riding his bike directly in front of him, although that looks like it could be the front of the shirt. The point is, play hard, play rough, or take your ball and go home. Well, I don't know. What if you're the kicker? What if you're just trying to kick field goals or punts or even the quarterback? I guess the quarterback could play rough. If I were the kicker, I'd be like, hey, I'm staying here and I'm going to keep playing. All you said is, I got to step on the field, right? I want to impress you, step on the field. That's it, right? Well, now all of a sudden I've got to play hard and I got to play rough. That's pretty badass. But it's not as badass as taking the bull by the horns. Now, what's so badass about this shirt? Well, that's just an old cliche. This must have been like one of their very first shirts when they were... I don't know. I haven't really done a deep dive on how exactly the No Fear product came to be. But I'm guessing this was like maybe not the first shirt. The first one probably just said No Fear. And people were putting that on. And other people were like, damn, that guy's not afraid of anything. And then they were like, hey, you know what? Let's just do a cliche. Old cliche. Taking the bull by the horns. And, that's pretty badass. Okay? Just because it's a cliche doesn't mean it's not badass. But it's not as badass as... Well, first of all, that's really bad advice, to take a bull by the horns. Here's what you do with the bull. You stay away from it. You don't go to Pamplona. You don't run with the bulls. You don't go to Mexico or Spain and become a matador. And you just stay away from bulls. They're very dangerous. Unless you're going to eat them. They are cows, right? I mean, are you technically eating a cow, like a beef? Coming in at number 33. It's simple. You lose, you go home. Now, first of all, that's just badass. Secondly, I'm not entirely sure what that means. I mean, I could lose and then hang out and shake hands, I guess. Eventually, you're going to go home. But in this situation, Yeah, you're just going home. Well, the thing is, like, this guy's saying, like, look, if you lose, you're not invited to be on the field anymore. Is telling people to have no fear also bad advice? Chris Roloffs. No. The only thing we have to fear is not having these t-shirts. But thanks for your question. Yeah, if you lose, you go home. That's just the way it's gotta. Sorry, kids. You going home. I'm at my home right now. I'm having a great time. There's nowhere else I'd rather be than right here in my home. So, I don't know. I'm not really that afraid. Coming in at number 32. At 200 miles per hour, you have no friends. Now, that's just scary. Because who wants to have no friends? Can you imagine? And this is, no fear. Largely, it seems to be like for athletes. And pseudo-athletes like race car drivers. I'm guessing this is a NASCAR thing. Because it's American, obviously, with the 200 miles per hour. And Americans are mostly preoccupied with NASCAR because cars going in a circle. I'm not going to judge you if you think NASCAR is great. I don't like it, but who am I to say? I have no fear. You have no fear. At 200 miles an hour, no fear, no friends. It's kind of scary to think that what they're basically saying is, like Dale Earnhardt, someone will just run you right into the wall and you're dead. And then you really have no friends until, before your funeral. After your funeral, no friends. But, pretty badass. Not as badass as there are lessons to be learned from competition, but fear is not one of them. Well, there are lessons to be learned from competition, such as do your best, or you're gonna just feel empty inside if you don't do your best. Preparation is very important. You could spend all summer just sitting on your ass, watching YouTube videos like this. Which, first of all, great idea. But you guess what, kids? You do that, and you know what? You're gonna learn that you lost. You're gonna lose the whole season, assuming you're playing hockey in the winter, or I guess football starts in this. Football and hockey start around the same time. It's about a month. I think football usually starts Labor Day, and then like October first week for like half a week into October, you get your hockey. And if you have been sitting around all summer, there's a lesson to be learned. Fear is not one of them. Number 30. You'll never steal second with your foot on first. What they're saying in this situation is pretty badass. And that's that you gotta let go. You can't just be, like, oh no, I might get picked off. By the way, in baseball, getting picked off, if you have no idea what that means, it's that you're on first base and you take a bit of a lead. Is that what you call it? A lead? Let's just call it a lead. It's not a lead off. That's the first batter of the inning, and most specifically the first batter in the lineup, which is the first batter of the first inning. But if you're on first base, you step off a little bit because you want the pitcher to think there's a chance you might steal. Also, you need to get a little bit away from first base because if the guy hits the ball somewhere, you want to get to third base or home. You want to have a little bit of a head start coming off of first base, no matter what happens, except for a walk or like a line drive that gets caught. Then you don't want to have too big of a lead, but you definitely want to have a little bit of a head start. And if you don't, that means you got your foot on first, and you'll never steal second. Now, these shirts, I get the feeling they're like, each one is a metaphor for life. And it's mostly sports related. And they're saying, don't be afraid to step off second a little bit. However, if you get picked off, by the way, is you go a little too far before the pitcher makes the pitch. So before the pitcher makes the pitch, you take a few steps off first base, and then he throws the ball to first. They tag you. The first baseman tags you. You're out. That is maybe the most embarrassing thing that can happen in baseball. Obviously, your pants splitting is more embarrassing. Your mom coming onto the field and like licking her finger and like, hey, you got dirt on your face. More embarrassing. But that stuff almost never happens. In terms of normal plays that happen on a fairly regular basis, getting picked off is maybe number one, because like you're just like you really let your team down right there. So this is pretty badass, is what I'm saying. But not as badass as number 29. I don't come here to play. I come here to win. Well, what's so badass about that is that this he's planning on winning without playing. Because he says, I don't come here to play. It doesn't say, I don't come here just to play. He's not gonna play, but he's gonna win in his mind. And that is scary to me, but not to him, because he has no fear. But not as scary as, it's not if, it's when, and how bad. I have no idea what that means. But I do know what this one means. Number 27. All men are great in their dreams. Reality just narrows the competition. Damn, that reality sucks. It's always getting in the way of our dreams, isn't it? But not whoever's wearing this shirt. Oh man, you know what? The guy who's wearing this shirt isn't necessarily saying that he is great in things beyond his dreams. I think he is. Otherwise, why would he wear the shirt? Do you think that people wear these shirts just to try to trick other people into thinking they're tough and cool? No way. It's because it's the truth. Stay away from this guy. And if you're gonna, don't get on the field with him unless you want to impress him. But then you can't win if you're sitting on the bench. And the other one that I mentioned. But not as much as number 26 on our very fine list. Have no fear, the roofer is here. Now, this isn't a no fear shirt. I just like this one because, you know, if you got a leaky roof, the roofer will fix it for you. He's a nice guy. So, see, he's up there on the roof. I'm going to say this is a no fear shirt. It says the words no fear right on it. I wish I could point at the shirt and you guys could see it. Hey, Ace Shows. I don't know who you are. There's a monkey. I'm assuming that you're a monkey. Yeah, you missed out on the 20-something, 40 through 27 most badass no fear shirts. But you're here to see number 25. Get in, sit down, shut up, and hold on. I swear. Oh yeah, this is a no fear shirt. You can see. Oh, you can see the mouse cursor. That's good. I don't mind. You can see right here. It says no fear. Also, I'm underneath me. It says no fear. And I don't know. Is it skydiving? I'm gonna say it's skydiving. It might be race car driving again. NASCAR, of course. But the point is, like, shut up. Get in, sit down, shut up, and hold on. So if you're skydiving, don't turn to your skydiving partner and go, oh, look at, you can see the tractor going across there. That's really cool. Oh, a train. No, shut up. Shut up and hold on. That's pretty badass. But not as badass as you may have it when I'm done. The skateboard park or the skateboard or the shirt. Like, hey, I'm wearing my shirt right now. You may have it when I'm done. That's pretty badass, guys. I mean, look at this guy. I can't make, oh, I see him. Yeah, his face is like right here. And then he's got a big shadow. And then there's like another like shadow inside the shadow silhouette. I don't know. But this guy, I mean, he's got what he's got and he's hanging on to it. And maybe you can have it when he's done. But as for now, no, he's got it. But you know what he doesn't got? Number 23. Wherever the fear may be, look it in the eyes. I don't know what that means. But that's, again, like, that's a common theme with these shirts. I have no idea what some of them mean. And that is what's so badass about it. Is that, like, there's fear, He's looking at it. Look out. Be afraid. But not him. But have no fear. So I guess are these shirts saying, I have no fear? The gentleman wearing the shirt has no fear. The person looking at the shirt has no fear. He's encouraging the person looking at the shirt to have no fear. I don't know. The point is, stay away from this guy. He's badass. But not as badass as the guy who wears number 22. There is no off season. So, like, say you play football and you win the Super Bowl. It's February something. You're on the field with your teammates. You're celebrating. And what happens next day? Well, it's the off season, right? No. There's no off season. And that's pretty badass. But not as badass. Well, he's just saying, keep training, you know. It's cool, is what I'm saying. That's really, really, really cool what that guy said there. But not as cool as this one. Get in the game or get off the court. This is a weird-looking shirt. Who wears this thing? This looks like this shirt would be worn by, like, a pencil or something. The skinniest, tallest person in world history. Get in the game or get off the court. See, that is fantastic advice, because if you're not playing the game, get off the court. Or unless you're the ref, or you're the coach and you're on the field like screaming, "Hey referee, that's a very disrespectful play call that you made on my team player." And and while you're at it, have no fear. The roofer is here. Number 20. Life is just sudden death. Overtime. And the clock is ticking. Now, that's true. Because whether you, like, no matter how you die, it's sudden. It's not like your death gets stretched out into a long time. You could you could be dying for 2 years from, like, ALS, just slowly fading away until you die. But until your heart stops beating, you're still alive. And then when it's not beating, you're dead. And that's sudden. Death. Overtime. And the clock is ticking. What did people do before there were clocks? It's like, and the earth is spinning still. So look out. But not as looked out as number 19. Limits were made to be broken. Stay away from this guy. He's gonna break your face right along with those limits. He doesn't care. Number 18. Is that your nose on my tail? Or are you just happy to see me? That is so badass. I mean, you're driving around on the track. First of all, the people that wear these shirts, I don't think they're NASCAR drivers. I don't believe that there are actual NASCAR drivers who have worn a No Fear shirt. So these shirts are worn by the fans of the NASCAR. They put the shirts on and they walk to school the next day and they're like, yeah. You see the back of my shirt? Is that an erection? Or are you driving really close to me? That is so badass. But not as badass as number 17. Scars are tattoos for the brave. I kind of like this one. You know? If you have a scar, then it is kind of like a tattoo. Tattoos are obviously better because they can get a specific design. I actually have a scar on my tummy that I pulled a cookie sheet, baking tray, whatever you want to call it, out of the oven. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to touch it to my tummy. This is 2003. This is 14 years ago. So obviously, I'm going to take a look right now. Let's see it. It's because I've gotten kind of fat. I can't really... It's like underneath my rolls of fat. But, yeah. If you have no fear, you're going to get some scars, and it's going to be better than a tattoo, because you can only get scars if you're brave, or if, like, you're in a car accident because somebody T-boned you, and a piece of the car came and, like, sliced your cheek. Either way, look out. Are you afraid to die or just afraid to live? I'm not afraid to die. I don't want to. But I feel like when I'm dead, it's like I'm not going to be like dead like, damn it, I wish I wasn't dead. God. No, I'm going to be dead. It's like before I was born. It's not like I can't wait to be born. I can't wait to be conceived by my parents. The sperm that my dad hasn't produced yet and the egg that my mom hasn't produced yet have not come together and turned into an embryo that became me. But I can't wait to be alive. So this shirt, super badass, but not as badass as number 15. If you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much room. Now that is just a great metaphor. Because there's no literal edge for you to be living on. But living on the edge, it means that you're not, first of all, you're not afraid. Because you got no fear. By the way, you can't see the bottom of this shirt. Because the program that I'm using to scroll through the pictures, it's got like a weird, ugly taskbar that I have to hit. I would love to just hit my right and left arrows, but that's not doing it. Well, let's try it right now. Maybe the up and down arrows work. Does that do it? No. So I have to actually hit the button that shows the next image, and it's ugly. I don't want it to be on there. Take my word for it. This is a no fear t-shirt. In fact, there it is, suckers. You saw it. You can't unsee it. Yeah, so be afraid. No, don't be afraid. Have no fear. The roofer is here. But not as roofer as number 14. It will invade your dreams. It will shatter your reality. It will dominate you if you let it. No fear. I'm assuming the shirt is talking about fear. So don't. It will invade your dreams. It will shatter your reality. It will dominate you if you let it. So I guess the caveat is that for all these things, it's if you let it, it will. If you let it, it will. If you let it, it will shatter your reality. If you let it, it will dominate you. If you let it. No fear. That is so badass. I mean, just think about what that means. It means, like, just don't be afraid or all these bad things will happen. Do you want bad things to happen to you? No. You know what else you don't want to happen to you? Not owning number 13. It's all over but the crying. And then there's a baby. Because babies cry. It's all over but the crying. See, that's like when you lose a game, the clock hits 0, the pitcher makes the last out, you crash into the wall, driving your NASCAR. It's all over, but the crying. So I guess this implies that the crying is part of the competition. But not if you have no fear. See, I'm really mulling over my thoughts for these no fear shirts. I'm not reading off a script, kids. Okay, well, I'm going through these shirts just like you are. I've obviously already ranked them. And this one's number 13. But the point that I'm trying to make is that it's all over but the crying. I don't know what that means. It's just like you lost, you're crying. Someone's always going to lose. Someone's always going to cry. How about if you really have no fear, wouldn't you not cry? But then again, you didn't come here to play, you came here to win. So you didn't play or win, and now you're crying, and you're a dumb baby. But not as dumb and big a baby as you'd be if you weren't wearing number 12. Losing is very bad, so I'll let you do it. Folks, I just want to reiterate something. When I was in high school, people walked around wearing these shirts. Now, I haven't been to high school in 22 years. Yes, I know I look extremely young for my age. That's because God loves me. He didn't love me enough to give me like a good childhood or like to be a really good athlete. But I mean, look at this. Look at that. Come on. Oh, I don't look very good right now, but trust me. Anyway, I look very young for my age, is what I'm told. And so in the 90s, people would actually walk around wearing these shirts. And I would look at them and I would go, God, that guy's cool. Mom, can I have a No Fear t-shirt? And she was like, no. And that's where the bad childhood came from, is that I wasn't allowed to have a No Fear t-shirt. And so nobody really knew who I was. I would have conversations with my friends. I would speak up in class way too much. Like, nobody wanted to hear what I said, but I still did it. And people would look at me and be like, shut up. Kind of like what I had 4 viewers at one point. It's down to 1. So 3 people were like, hey, shut up. Because losing is very bad. So I'll let you do it. And at number 11, we have, does not play well with others. It seems others have a problem with losing. A lot of losing talk. A lot of like, people don't like me, but it's because I always win. It's pretty cool, man. It's pretty badass. So, and then there's the eyes. These ones are a little bit more like this. The actual like logo's like, and that's pretty badass, but not as badass as number 10. 5 seconds left at the 3-point line. Down by 2. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No fear. That's actually, for a while, instead of blast off, people would say no fear. And then they would basketball. I hate basketball. It's just me, you know. I just think it's the dumbest of all the sports. I don't mind people who play it. I think it's just, aesthetically, it's just very unpleasing. Tall, gangly guys running around in shorts, throwing a ball to each other. It's just, I don't know. I'm terrible at it. It's probably the number 1 reason that I don't like basketball. I'm just really bad at it. So the reason that this shirt is so badass is because it's describing what happens at the end of a basketball game sometimes. And that's cool. But not as cool as number 9. Hockey keeps the Tooth Fairy employed. So the Tooth Fairy, if you didn't know about the Tooth Fairy, he or she, depending on if it's a boy or a girl, goes around at night, and what you do is a tooth falls out, you put it under your pillow, Tooth Fairy comes in, takes the tooth, leaves some money, and I guess without the hockey, there would be no Tooth Fairy. Because, well, first of all, children lose their teeth, yes. Who's paying the Tooth Fairy? Who's employing the Tooth Fairy? I'm not sure. But hockey players, it's very typical for them to lose teeth, more so than any other sport. Football, in hockey, you can get a stick in the face, or you can get a puck in the face. And then, you can get punched in the face, which is very common if you're a fighter. And you can get checked into the boards, and you can sort of hit the boards face first and you lose a tooth. That's the least likely way to lose a tooth playing hockey. But no matter which way you slice it, whoever's employing the Tooth Fairy can blame hockey, because that's how the Tooth Fairy stays employed. Even though hockey's by far the least popular of the 4 major sports in North America, I don't know if they have the Tooth Fairy in Europe. I'm guessing it came from like Germany or France or something. A lot of those sort of supernatural holiday type mythical things come from Europe. I don't really think Americans came up with a lot of that stuff. They're sort of more into NASCAR than inventing mythical creatures that do things to children. However, this shirt, look out for the guy wearing it, because he plays hockey. He's not afraid to lose some teeth because he has no fear. No fear. Number 8. Shut up and jump. No fear skydiving. So, I think this is the only shirt that brands itself by the sport that that's being portrayed or whatever. Sport that's on display. I don't know what I'm trying to say. But the thing is, if you're skydiving, you don't jump out and go, woo! You just shut up. You shut up! And you jump. And I I guess they have to write skydiving on it. Otherwise, they're worried that people might just jump. It's like, shut up. And if they don't write skydiving, then it's like someone sees that shirt and they're like, and then just, hey, I just jumped. Do I have fear? And it's like, no, skydiving. But not as skydiving as number 7. It's not the pace of life that concerns me. It's the sudden stop at the end. I don't know if are people like, oh man, I'm so concerned about the pace of life. I guess if you live in New York or Tokyo, it's coffee. It's decaf coffee. And I have whipping cream in it. Not whipped cream. Like 33% milk fat cream. It adds a lot of taste. And I don't know. Decaf coffee sucks, but I can't drink regular coffee anymore. So yeah, this shirt's excellent because, no fear, sudden stop at the end. Yeah, once again, sudden. Coming to the, sudden death overtime. The clock is ticking. It's not the pace of life that concerns me. It's the sudden stop at the end. I think that makes this shirt so badass is it, talks about death. And it doesn't relate to any sport in particular, unless it's NASCAR and you crash car. So that's pretty badass. Not as badass as number 6. Life's not too short. It's just that you're dead for so long. See, we're getting away from, just, oh, look how cool I am. I play hockey and I lose teeth. Yeah, whoa, man, there's only 5 seconds left. Are you going to hit that 3-pointer and win the game? Or are you going to miss it and lose? No fear. Now we're getting into, weird philosophical things about life. And how, life, it's not that life's not too short. It's just that you're dead for so long. And, well, this guy obviously doesn't believe in the afterlife, heaven, purgatory, whatever the hell Jews believe in, Hindus, Muslims. Oh, I like what the Muslims believe in. That sounds awesome. But, 72 virgins, is it a rotating stock of virgins? After you deflower one, does another one come along? Does she fall out? Are they really inexperienced? Because, there's a real, there's a great allure to having a virgin. I don't know exactly what it is. I guess she's never been touched by another man, and that sounds awesome. But then there's also, I like a girl who can, you know what I'm saying. Anyway, after you die, you're always dead. It's a lot longer than what you were alive for. So I'm going to go ahead and disagree with this shirt a little bit, in that life is too short. Because if life was forever, it would be much better, assuming that, you have something to do the entire time. So that's pretty badass. Very badass. This is number 6. This is the 6th most badass No Fear t-shirt of all time from the 90s. I don't know if they're still making them. Maybe they have a website I can check out later. Number 5. 30 seconds left. Face off in their zone. Tie game. Pull the goalie. No fear. If you don't watch hockey, if you don't understand hockey, let me explain something to you. If you're down by a goal, maybe 2, late in the game, there's a risky play which you can do, which is to pull your goaltender out of the net. He goes to the bench, and then you get an extra skater. So another forward or a defenseman comes out. So, assuming that nobody has any penalties, you now have 6 players against their 5 players. Technically, it's 6 versus 6 because they have a goalie, but you have no goalie now. You have another attacker, as they call them. So, you take the risk of giving up an empty net goal, because if you don't score, you're going to lose. If they score an empty net goal, you're going to lose. So you take the risk of giving up an empty net goal because you desperately need to score another goal to tie the game, so it's worth the risk. Now, if it's a tie game, that is an extraordinarily stupid thing to do, because 30 seconds is a really long time when your net is empty. one of their guys could just shoot it down the ice into the empty net if they get possession. And players in the last 15 years have put a lot of work into practicing shooting at the empty net. It used to be that if you were in your own zone, then you wouldn't take a shot for the empty net, because if you miss, it's an icing and the other team gets to the face-off in your zone. But players these days are just so good at shooting the puck into the empty net that it's making it a lot easier. It's making it a lot more difficult to come back when your goalie's pulled, because once they score the empty net goal, except for in extremely rare occasions, I'm talking like once every 20 years this happens, the team scores an empty net goal and then you somehow come back and score 2 more. It's so rare because, first of all, the net's usually not empty unless there's less than 2 minutes in a game, meaning that you're scoring 2 goals in 2 minutes. And also, having an empty net goal scored against you is really demoralizing. It's almost impossible to get your spirit back to get another goal, let alone 2 at that point. But if you pull the goalie when it's tied, you're extremely stupid. But you know what else? You have no fear. You're not waiting for overtime. Why would you wait for overtime when you would have an equally good chance of winning, assuming that you have a face-off in their zone? No fear. This is taking no fear to stupid lengths, where you would make an incredibly stupid decision as a coach, and that's what makes it so badass. But still, somehow, not as badass as number 4, he who dies with the most toys still dies. So get rid of your toys before you die, because you're still going to be dead. I think there was an old saying like you want to die with people want to die with the most toys, and this is a take on that, which is like, hey, you're still dead, kid. And I specifically remember someone wearing this shirt in high school. I specifically remember a few other shirts, but I'm actually remembering this one right now more so than the others for some reason. And see, again, they're just philosophical sometimes. It has nothing to do with sports. It's no life advice. I guess this might be a little bit of life advice in that, don't hang on to your toys. Play with your toys while you're alive, because when you're dead, you're dead. You're dead, kid. Like, he who laughs last laughs dead. And again, dealing with death, and that's why this guy's in the top 5, is because death is scary unless you have no fear. And that's very badass, but not as badass as number 3. I'm not scared. I'm not afraid. I'm tough. I'm an animal, and I will eat you if I have to. No fear. I mean, he's not afraid to eat a person. How badass is that? He will literally chew your flesh, maybe while you're alive. That would be kind of... I mean, I don't want to be a cannibal. I'm not a psychopath. But if I were, I think I would enjoy taking one of my enemies and cutting his flesh off, frying it on the frying pan, like, oh, hey there, Tim. Hey, oh, yeah, you remember you punched me in the face that one time when I wasn't looking? Oh, yeah, remember you stole that $50 out of my wallet? Well, your bicep is... I can smell it on my stove right now. I'm gonna take a little taste after I put some salt on it. Oh, how's that $50 feel, Tim? I will eat you! I'm not scared. I'm not afraid. I'm tough. I'm an animal. Maybe this shirt's just like you wear it when you're slaughtering pigs or something. It's like, I'm an animal too, and I will eat you. And that is extremely badass. That's top 3 badass. It's cannibalism, baby. It doesn't get more badass than that, unless you're number 2. The chill of the ice. The sand? The sand of a frozen puck? A speed of a frozen puck. A 90-mile-per-hour shot. Hockey is not a hockey. I know what I said. Hockey is not a hobby. Stamp collecting is a hobby. Stamp collecting. Oh, I forgot what it's called. See, I have a little bit of a mental block where if I try to think of something, like a word, a memory, and I can't, I paused and I'm like, oh, I gotta think of what that is. Philatelist? I think it's philatelist. How'd this one get at number 2? You know what's great? That's a broom? What is this? This is a broom. This is a field hockey stick? Why is there a frozen puck if it's field hockey? By the way, field hockey's a very tough sport. They use those sticks, they hit the balls and then they hit you. You're not wearing a lot of pads. It's not fun, I hear. Well, this shirt is so badass, but not as badass as the number 1 most awesomest, coolest, no fear shirt in history from the 90s. Absolutely, positively, most definitely, without a doubt, no fear. Not even a little bit. This is number 1 just because it's like, in case you saw those others, the last 39 days I was wearing those shirts. You saw them, right? And you could see how badass I am, right? Well, in case you were wondering about my fear level, it is absolutely, positively, without a doubt, not fear. Not even a little bit. And that is why this is the number 1 most badass no fear t-shirt from the 90s, because it reiterates everything that I just said, and that is that you have no fear. Now, let's talk about this topic just a little bit more. Like I was saying before, there were people in my high school that wore these shirts, and did they think they were cool? Man. And I never did, because I wasn't cool enough. You know what I wore? I wore shirts like this that don't have any logos or awesome sayings on them or anything, because I'm lame. I'm not badass. I'm not as cool as the kids at school who wore the no fear. I don't know why they. I see, like I said, I haven't been to high school in 22 years. I have no idea what high school kids are wearing to school these days. I have no idea what kids in high school were wearing in 2002, 2007, 2012, 2018, and now 2021. If there actually is school where you are, I believe most places have school. I have no idea. It's probably not as badass as these, because these shirts are so cool, guys. No fear. Whoa, this guy's got no fear. Look out. And that's it, kids. God, I had a lot of fun. You had a lot of fun. I got 2 comments from the live stream. Chris Roloffs and Ace Shows. I don't know who Ace Shows is. I think he just saw that I was streaming and decided to come in, and he posted like a monkey. You can see it. Maybe I can block him from talking on my streams in the future. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I love you so much. God, I just love